Hello, everyone. We're excited to present to you this webinar on how life skills are important to business owners. Our goal at the Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County is to provide high-quality civil legal advice, representation, and education to the disadvantaged of Palm Beach County in order to protect their personal safety, enhance their opportunities and living conditions, and promote self-sufficiency. If you have any questions during the webinar, please type them in the chat or Q&A box, and we will attempt to respond to your question live during the webinar. If by any chance you missed on some important points, a recorded version of this webinar will be available on our social media platforms. Please note this webinar is being recorded. Now, without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Staff Attorney DaVatrice Lindsey from our Community Economic Development Project. Hello, DaVatrice.
Hello, Mario. Thank you very much for the introduction. As Mario stated, my name is DaVatrice Lindsey, and I am the attorney for the Neighborhood Entrepreneurial Law Project, known as NELP. It launched in 2018 for individuals and small businesses. We provide residents of the Palm Beach County area the tools and knowledge to be successful in starting and or owning their small business. We also supply limited financial assistance for business registration, logo design, home occupation affidavit, and more for eligible applicants only. We assist with commercial matters such as notice for breach of covenant of quiet enjoyment, action for unlawful entry and detainer, wrongful eviction, breach of duty to deliver possession of premises, and lease amendment/modification. In addition, we assist with copyright registration and trademark registration. Lastly, we furnish webinars and podcasts regarding important business topics, such as the topic for today. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Heidi McFarland. Dr. Heidi McFarland received a doctorate in industrial/organizational psychology with distinction from Capella University in 2014. Master of Education in Counselor Education from Florida Atlantic University in 2001. She is a lifelong member of the Psi Chi International Honor Society in Psychology, recognizing and promoting excellence in the science and application of psychology. From childhood, Dr. McFarland always had a heart for helping others to succeed. As an industrial organizational psychologist and certified life coach, she works with individuals and couples in counseling, life coaching, career counseling, and workplace assessment. As a motivational speaker, Dr. McFarland has spoken to different church groups and organizations, motivating others to be the best that they can be. She has authored a book on affirmations called 21 Life Skill Affirmations for Powerful Living, available on Amazon. Dr. McFarland has authored a research study on the entrepreneurial experience of successful Black females. Her areas of interest include workplace stress and anxiety management, mind-body wellness, women's issues, and entrepreneurialism. Dr. McFarland is a purpose-driven individual. She is committed to helping others find clarity in their thinking while motivating them and providing solutions. Dr. McFarland has maintained a professional affiliation with the American Red Cross as a disaster mental health professional, Palm Beach Counseling Association, the Society for Industrial Organization Psychology, the American Counseling Association, and the Florida Mental Health Counseling Association. Without further ado, I present to you Dr. Heidi McFarland.
Hi, hello everyone. It's good to be here and welcome to How Life Skills Are Important to Business Owners. It's good to be here to share all the information that I have, because even as a business owner myself, I want to encourage other business owners to be the best that they can be and to get all the skills that they need to be successful. So thank you, DaVatrice, for welcoming me and for being part of this presentation. Okay, so I'll start out with our objectives for today: the importance of life skills and its effects on business success. So moving beyond or everyday information, because one thing is everyone goes to school, but not everyone has life skills. Not everyone was taught some of the things that we need as individuals, whether it be in business or in parenting or in personal life. Not everyone has those skills to be the best person that they need to be. So this is what it's all about, getting those skills that you really never learned in school, being a professional, a lawyer, a doctor, even a nurse. We all have those skills, but we don't have the life skills that we really need to be well in our profession. So we're going to be talking about the life skills and how it affects you, not only you as an individual, but it affects you and your family and the community as a whole. So a lot of great things in store. And I just want to emphasize that will be one of the goals is about learning the things that can refresh your life, make your life different, to change your life up a little bit. With COVID and everything that's going on, we get so stressed out, anxious about our everyday living. So I'm here to, come up with solutions and ideas to think differently about life, renewing your mind to think differently, refocusing, making changes and setting goals. Because a lot of people this year, we were talking earlier about moving, but it's not only just moving geographically, but making changes in your life for success. So the things that you might have put off for years, 20 years ago, now is the time to make those changes in life. So defining life skills. What are we talking about here? What are life skills? Life skills, it's about having that mental soundness, and whatever is in your mind affects your body and affects your whole future. So it's all about your mind and your body and, growing towards your goals for the future. Okay, so we're gonna move forward. What are life skills? So we're breaking it down. So the life skills approach, it's a comprehensive approach. Just like I said, it's not about knowledge that you have in school, but it's about the knowledge that you need to be a better person in your profession and in your life. So life skills are the application of our qualities and our senses. So what are our qualities as human beings? And then even with the qualities that we have as human beings, what are our senses or feelings as part of, being in touch with who we are as human beings? So life skills are the psychosocial, the interpersonal skills that we really need as human beings to grow. So psychosocial skills, what are those? It pertains to the social aspects of our life, and interpersonal, it relates to the traits, the characteristics that we have as human beings, and combining that, because some people are, you can say, introverts, extroverts, and because of those traits that they have, it affects who they are in their profession. I'll give you an example of a client that I have. Went to school to become a teacher, and then even in their trade, they realized that they don't have the interpersonal skills to become a teacher. So even today, we see a lot of people who are working in jobs, and then they realize, oh, this is not who I really am as a person, because this job doesn't fit my personality. So it's good to know ahead of time, what you're best fit for. So the life skills, it's a sum total of the human skills needed to advance. It plays a part in the education, but it also plays a part in the social, personal life that we have. So the whole motive of life skills is to empower someone to be the best person that they are in their profession. And it helps you to develop the behavior that you need to succeed. So life skills is important for balancing who you are as a person and who you are as a profession. So we're talking about the importance of life skills in business for business owners, empowering yourself and developing yourself. So there are 4 important life skills that I wanted to talk about. And it relates to how we communicate, whether passive, assertive, or aggressive, and how we make decisions in life, and how we balance everything to do with our emotions, and how we build on our relationships by building up our self-esteem. So these life skills, like even in our everyday work, DaVatrice, even today at work, you had to utilize life skills to communicate with the people that you work with, correct? And then there were decisions that you have to make throughout the day, and then you have to balance your emotions. Because how was your day today? How do you feel today? If I may ask.
I feel great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, so today was a good day for you. Not a lot of pressure. You felt good.
Yes, it was pretty consistent, but I feel good.
So you like routine, consistency.
Correct.
So that affects, it makes your day better. So if something throws you off, then it's like, oh, no, but you have to figure how to balance to make the day better. How about you, Mario? Can I ask, how was your day today?
I would say today was a mixed bag of having things where I need to get accomplished, but yet at the same time, I know that I have, as you said before, it's a good balancing act. It's learning how to balance it all.
Definitely. And having the skills to do it all. Between communicating, making decisions, balancing your emotions, and building yourself up. Definitely. Okay, so the best weapon for success is having effective communication skills. Even if you're an anxious person, you have to know how to talk to yourself in the ways that decrease your anxiety. Or if you're an angry person, you have to know how to talk to yourself in a way to deal with your anger. So it's through communication that we let others know who we are as a person. You know, it's a way for us to express ourselves. What do we want to do? And what do we want others to do for us? So even, you know, just throwing it out there, because I'm going to use you guys to kind of have our interaction. So just one question. How would you describe yourself? So I don't know if you were able to look at the feelings chart that I sent, DaVatrice, because it had a lot of feelings. How would you describe yourself as a person? Would you say, as regards to your emotions, what kind of person would you describe yourself?
I would say I'm a pretty laid back person. So I had to learn from childhood to actually communicate when I really felt a certain type of way about something, because I was so laid back. So I think I was able to accomplish that. Something really has to bother me in order for me to say something or to really want to be driven about it. So I think from childhood, I learned to overcome that.
Okay, so you're more on the reserve side. So, or would you say you're a person that try to avoid conflict, or conflict is not an issue?
Conflict is not an issue.
Oh, definitely. That's great. All right, so we'll dig more into this communication game, because when we work with individuals, whether it be in relationships or on the job, you have to realize that your personality sometimes can clash with someone else, can be different, and it's just trying to work through those communication skills. Okay, so communication is very important. It can be oral, written, or nonverbal. Sometimes when I speak to a person, it's like people will tell you certain things, but then you have to be aware of their nonverbal communication. What is the nonverbal communication saying? So even in life skills as a profession, always look out for that. When you talk to someone, you're like, you know, you have to see what are they saying behind the scenes and what are they not saying. You know, what is their body language saying? Is their voice upbeat or a little too fast or slow, or are they like monitoring their words? So it's good as a life skill, as an attorney or whatever your profession, to always be aware of communication, what people are saying and what they're not saying. It's always interesting, always good. Okay, so then you have the passive behavior. How do we define this? This is the kind of person who just kind of goes along with what everybody else says. They take no action. They're like, okay, whatever you say. They put others before themselves. They give in. But sometimes some people are like this, and you have to wonder why. You know, why he doesn't say more? Why is he so reserved? You know, like you said, DaVatrice, you when you need to, you'll talk out. But if not, you know, you're on the reserve side. But some people, it's like they're so passive, they're very laid back, they never say anything. But you have to dig deeper to find out more about what else is going on. Because even as a lawyer and the clients that you have, sometimes a client will come to you and present a case. But then when you dig deeper, you find out there's more to the case than actually what the client is saying. And then even way more than, you know, with their body language, you know, what they're saying. So sometimes when a person is passive, you have to figure out what are they really communicating? What's behind them being passive? Okay, so individuals who are passive, they remain silent. Even when something bothers them, they apologize a lot, or they'll mumble when they speak, or sometimes they'll laugh more than usual, you know, or they hide their face. And one of the things, even with today's society, we find out more and more about celebrities who have social anxiety issues. And part of, you know, their behavior, sometimes how they communicate, they might be a little bit more passive than others. So we'll talk more about how do we get around the passivity, how to get around, like, you know, you act like everything is okay when it's really not okay. So being assertive is telling someone exactly what you want in the way that you want to tell them, standing up for yourself, respecting yourself and respecting the other person. It's about listening and talking, because sometimes people think being assertive might be being a little bit too aggressive, but you always got to state, you know, what you want and how you want things to be done. And I see a lot of times in relationships with couples, but even as business owners, sometimes we might lose a job because we're not assertive enough. We have too many fears and anxiety about, oh, what if I do this or that and this happens and it doesn't work out? But being assertive is very important for a business owner. So we'll go more into how do we become more assertive? So it's expressing ourselves, whether positive or negative. So if you don't like something, you can tell someone, I don't appreciate or I don't like, but just being confident about what you don't appreciate or you don't like. And talking to the person without name calling, because a lot of people, when they tell someone they don't like something, they're negative about it. But it's a way of just telling someone how you feel without be negative. And I find that this is very difficult for a lot of people, how to express themselves in an assertive way. So expressing your feelings, standing up for your rights, putting yourself first. Oh, this is the aggressive, you know, where you put yourself before someone else. But really and truly, you want to just say what you want and how you feel. So we'll go more into examples of how we communicate these skills, these behaviors. So the aggressive person tries to overpower others. It's all about them. They, you know, very demean and very shouting. We all know who the aggressive person is in a room when we see them. Yeah, because they're louder than everybody else. They want to be seen and heard. So we try to stay away from those people. Okay, so this is the good part. This is the good stuff. How do we assert ourselves? Okay, so first, you explain your feelings. You might say, I feel frustrated when, you know, I was trying to tell you about this business idea and you ignored me. Or I feel unhappy when we go out together to eat and you say something negative, you know, always expressing how we feel. It hurts me, even in a relationship. And I notice sometimes, even for women, just to say, it hurts me when you say this, because we're afraid of how the other person is going to respond. Have you ever had that experience before, DaVatrice, where, you know, sometimes you hold back because you fear that you'll seem like too aggressive or too overbearing?
Yes, I've had that experience because originally I'm a Midwesterner, and I can't speak on all of our behalves, but I know that we're pretty blunt, my family. So when I first moved to Georgia and then to Florida, I would just say something that I felt was regular. And the person that I was speaking to would just look like I just said the worst thing I could ever say to them in life. So I had to learn how to be assertive, but how to communicate it, not necessarily sugarcoat it, but in a, I guess, a nicer way, not being as blunt.
Right, non-threatening kind of way. And
right.
One thing that I teach my clients a lot, because sometimes there might be a scenario like they want to say something to someone. So I say, okay, one thing you could do is give them a compliment and say, oh, you're such a wonderful person. You're good at this. But, you know, just to let you know, I didn't appreciate what you said. And I appreciate, you know, just tell them exactly. But, you know, it's not, sometimes you might want to butter them up a little bit, because sometimes people, just like you say, they don't take what you say. They're like, they take it in the wrong way, or they take it, you know, as like you putting them down. So it's good to give someone a compliment, you know, because that sounds good to their ears. So even when you give them the stuff that they don't like, they don't, you know, it's like they're confused. She's giving me a compliment, but then she's telling me she doesn't like something. So that's that's a very good way, you know, for you to communicate sometimes the things that you want to say. You kind of like encourage the other person, you know, tell them that, you know, they're good at whatever, or, you know, describe some good features about them, and then tell them how, you know, what the problem that you have. So we'll go more into the assertive behavior. It's very interesting, because this is something that people deal with a lot. So this further explains, it gives you some good ideas of what do I say? I'm trying to be assertive. So in the conversation, you could say, I feel as if I'm being ignored when I call you, or I would like it better if when I call, you would give me an answer, or you would tell me, you know, you tell them what you want. So when you, a lot of times when people have conflicts, they don't tell the other person what they want. They just tell them how they feel. You know, okay, I don't like this. And they just go into all their feelings. But it's good, like I said, you give them a compliment, but then you tell them what you don't like, and then you tell them what you want to happen. and then you tell them thanks for understanding. So you make your request be known, you state it clearly, what it is that you don't like or what it is that you would like to see. Could you please do such and such? Or please don't do such and such, or I wish if you would, so that's one thing with being assertive. We have to state what we want to happen. What is the behavior that we want to see happen? Because I've seen couples say, oh, I've been telling them for years not to do this, but it's like, don't tell them no, 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 because they're going to do the opposite of what you're telling them. So you just have to tell them how it makes you feel and tell them exactly what you want them to do instead of like, oh, I told him not to leave his clothes, or even with parents and children, But even in business, a lot of times the thing is when we call someone, they're not calling us back. And you're like, I'm tired of this, person. I keep calling them and they don't answer their phone, or, that's a major thing in business with the phone calls and the response, the lack of response. So, it's just good to tell the person, you're good at your job and everything, but I would appreciate if you would answer your phone. So whenever I call, if you can't answer your phone, just send me a text or something so I know that, that we're having better response or communication. So this is very important for business owners. So the next step is ask how the other person feels about your request. So that's even a good thing too, because a lot of times when you're telling someone something, you don't even think about how they feel, but they'll tell you if they don't like it, because even in that situation, that person was like, oh, well, where you come from, they might say and do things there, but in Georgia, I don't know. What was their response? Do you remember?
Well, their eyes got really big. They looked at me like I had 10 heads. And we'll leave it there. It wasn't a very nice. It wasn't a very nice response.
They had more nonverbal expressions.
Yes, pretty much.
I guess they might have restrained and probably telling you some good words, but so this is the part that, when we want to tell somebody, we just want to lay it out on them, but it's good to ask how the person feels about our request or how the person feels about what we're saying to get some kind of feedback. So you invite the other person to express his or her feelings, because this allows the other person to say, oh, okay, she don't like such and such, and then she's asking me how I feel. How do you feel about it? Is that okay with you? What do you think? Is that all right with you? What are your ideas, to get some kind of feedback, to get them more involved rather than you just saying, all these things, because then people feel like they're targeted. But when you're being assertive, it's a two-way street. It's trying to get a balance between what you're saying to someone and having them respond to where you can actually get something conducive in your business communication. Okay, and then number 4, you respond to whatever you ask them, what are their response, how they're feeling, and then the other person indicates his or her feelings to what that person say. Then you're like, okay, all right, I will follow up or do such and such, because anytime we speak to one person, the other person almost always have some kind of response or some kind of feelings towards it. So we're trying to build up, those communication skills. So this is good to work on. And then finally, you tell the person thanks for, their response. Thanks for what they had to say, whether they agree or disagree, or, if they agree, say, great, I appreciate that you heard what I said. And, you know, I appreciate your response, even if, you know, it might not be what I thought, but at least it gives you some kind of feedback regarding the other person. Because even in conflict, we're so surprised at times that we learn more about the other person and we learn more about ourselves, you know, within the communication. So this is just a quick reference that as part of the life skills that we need to have, we go through a whole process of decision making in our jobs. You know, we have to have the ability to solve problems and get correct information and make the right decision. So when there's a situation, we have to figure, okay, always try to prioritize what are the things that we need to do first, and, you know, come up with all the options, and then always try to choose, because I notice sometimes in decision making in business, a lot of people put things off. I speak to business people and they say one of my major issues is procrastination. So as business owners, one of the life skills that we have to learn for sure is how to make decisions and be okay with those decisions. To say, okay, even for the day, I'm gonna do such and such for the day. So we know when we finish the day, we completed all those goals that we wanted for ourselves. And then, you know, later on, you can evaluate within yourself to say, okay, I did everything that I wanted. I accomplished something, and then it makes it feel better that you did everything that you wanted for the day. Because you're saying right now, DaVatrice, you're happy with everything that you had to do for today.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm absolutely happy, but I know I did the best that I could do. And that's another thing that I worked on with help of my mom. She was an educator for over 30 years, and she specialized in special education and information technology as well. And she basically helped me because I was an overachiever. So as long as I've done my best for the day, that's all I can do. And now as an adult, I'm okay with that. I'm not constantly thinking, oh, I could have done this, or maybe I should do more, or maybe I need to tell someone else something different or change it. I'm satisfied because I know I did my best.
Oh, definitely. How about you, Mario?
I think it's also just circumstantial. A lot of times you make a decision and it might be at the right time, at the right moment. And then you make a decision, it sometimes doesn't work out, it backfires. but you know, you press on and you move forward because that's a learning experience. And now you know how to set yourself up for the future decisions you make. So nothing can ever be said that it's a wasted opportunity. You know, you just move forward.
That's true, because things change. Yeah, definitely. This world is a changing world. And, you know, from day to day, like you said, you have to adjust your decisions, even for the day, the things that you didn't get to accomplish. You say, okay, tomorrow's another day. You'll work on trying to accomplish in those things. Definitely. Okay, so emotional stability. One of the major keys in life skills for business owners is having emotional stability at work. You know, you bring your brain to the job. They say positive people are more efficient. They work better in the environment that they're put in than people who have a negative attitude. So it makes a big difference with our emotions. So one thing that we want to do when as business owners is always try to have that positivity going in our workplace. So the ability to deal with stress and emotions give us the keys that we need to succeed. And it gives us the power to succeed. Hence, we have to know how to manage our emotions. And part of that, because like I said, for emotional intelligence, not a lot of people have those skills that they need to see what's good and what's not good, or how to navigate within a work environment. So emotional intelligence is definitely important in business. So what is emotional intelligence? So it represents the individual differences that we have between job satisfaction and positivity, how it correlates, how it comes together to weigh the pros and the cons, how we respond, how we are as individuals, to know, you know, certain things you just can't do on the job, or certain ways that you just can't speak on the job. You have to know how to navigate all that. So research has found, you know, about how emotional intelligence plays in our workforce. So a person who is emotionally intelligent has the ability to deal with conflict a little bit better than a person who is not emotionally intelligent. Because some people, they'll take offense quicker than someone, you know, who knows how to deal with their emotions to, okay, so I'm not gonna be offended by what someone says, or I'm not gonna, you know, take it on. I'm gonna respond in a different way. So emotional intelligence is definitely necessary for your emotional well-being on the job. So an emotionally intelligent person is better at perceiving and regulating their emotions on the job. And they say someone who is emotionally intelligent does better on the job, and they achieve a lot more than someone who is not emotionally intelligent. So regulating your emotions is definitely, you know, a good thing. Very important. Okay, so here we are talking about self-esteem. A lot of people have issues with self-esteem. So how would we rate our self-esteem? How would you say, DaVatrice, is your self-esteem? High or low, in between? What are some things you think you would need to work on for self-esteem?
I think my self-esteem is at a decent level. It's pretty high.
Yeah.
I think also that it's situational. So if it's something new that I'm doing that I really have no experience in or any knowledge, then it might not be as high as it would be in something that I have a lot of experience in. I've been doing it for a while. So I think it's situational, but overall as a person, I think it's decent.
Okay, and Mario, how would you rate your self-esteem? Thank you,
Well,
DaVatrice.
on Monday, my self-esteem, I would say, is pretty low. But on a Saturday night with some music in the background, I have pretty good high self-esteem. So I think keeping track of yourself and your esteem over the years is an important measure as well. I see this graph and I think about that often. I think, well, all kidding aside, you know, whether it's Monday or Friday or Saturday, all kidding aside, your self-esteem has it has developmental. I feel like I have a pretty good self-esteem. I always try to look at myself over the years and say, okay, well, I didn't really do that well, and I have certain expectations that I didn't meet. But then I say, well, wait a second, I did do this, and I did do that, and I did graduate this, and I did finish that, and I did achieve this. So then I start looking at my successes. So I do think that if I track all the things I've done well, I have a high self-esteem. And then when I look at all the things I didn't do well, I say, well, those outweigh the ones that make my self-esteem go low. So I think I tip towards the higher side than I do towards the lower side.
Mhm.
Definitely. That's why you guys are good at what you do, because you have positive self-esteem levels, high self-esteem levels. So it makes, you know, you as individuals, you have high emotional intelligence because you can weigh the pros and the cons, and whatever the conflict situation, you don't let it bother you. So you're able to stabilize your emotions, you know, as regards to whatever is going on, you know, in the work environment. So having a positive self-esteem is all about self-love, your superpower, loving yourself and doing those things that make you a better person. And, you know, like you said, Mario, Saturday, you might find something, you know, less stressful to do, something that encourages you, something that's fun. So that builds up your self-esteem also, you know, being in an environment that enriches you, being around supportive family and friends, it affects your self-esteem. So that's one thing as a business owner that we always want to check ourselves. Where are we? How do we feel? Are we loving ourselves? Are we doing positive things to enrich ourselves? And it helps you in business to develop your business. So one of the biggest takebacks or takeaways from this webinar is how we regulate our emotions, how we assert ourselves, how we look at ourselves as individuals and be more positive within ourselves, regardless of the situation and the circumstances. We always want to put our best effort or best foot, you know, forward, as they say. And that's even part of why I wrote a book on affirmations, because being positive is what I'm all about, building up yourself and building up others. So, you know, I appreciate what you guys are doing with the legal aid, because that's what you're doing. You're building up the community as well as building yourselves up as individuals. So that's why I say life skills is not only for you, but you know, it's for your family and it's for the community. So self-esteem refers to a person's overall sense of his or her self-worth. You know, we gotta encourage ourselves too, because sometimes we don't get encouragement from others. So we have to, like I said, self-love is our superpower. We have to love ourselves. Self-esteem has to do with our strong relation to happiness. We can't look to others to make ourselves happy. We just have to always push ourselves forward. So if you have a low self-esteem, you're more likely to be depressed. And if you have a high self-esteem, you're seen better in business. You have a happier life, definitely. So now, you know, with COVID and everything, we don't have a chance to breathe sometimes. So what I always try to do with my clients is, one thing that you can do every day is work on your breathing for 32, count of 32. Just close your eyes every single day. And even if you wake up in the morning, you just inhale and exhale, because so many people died during COVID, they didn't even have a chance to breathe. So that's one thing we have to take in, that we're able to breathe every day. You know, as business owners, as professionals, we take advantage of, you know, those little things. And we have to focus on trying to appreciate ourselves, but appreciating our family, saying thank you to them, you know, hold on to our loved ones. It's the little things, but these are all life skills that sometimes we overlook. Sometimes we just need a hug, and we don't do that enough. We don't hug each other enough or hold on tighter. Laughter is always good. You know, I did a workshop on dealing with stress after COVID, because there's so many things we don't even think about doing, you know, dancing, singing, just to kind of encourage ourselves. Sometimes people are like, oh, I'm home, I'm bored, I can't get to go out. You know, this was during COVID, but you could stay home and have fun and still, you know, enjoy life. So it's just learning what are the things that we could do, but sometimes it's something basic. You know, when was the last time, DaVatrice, that you danced at home? It's been a while, right? You put on like the music loud. Did you ever do that when you were young?
Well, I'm not going to put all my business out there, but let's just say it hasn't been that long ago.
Oh, it hasn't been. Oh, good, good.
No.
See, I tell you, Mario didn't know. This is very good to know, you know, because you keep the balance, because you come to work and they're like, oh, you look so well, everything's going well, but you have your skills that you have to turn back to kind of help you, you know, deal with stress and anxiety and everything in life. So that's good. You're dancing it up. You know, you still know how to have fun. So
Yeah.
Mario, what do you do for fun?
Oh,
When last you
I'm already tuning up the song I'm going to dance to later tonight. I've already got a few tunes in my head. No, all kidding aside, I think it's important to treat yourself,
Yes.
and I think that's along the lines of what you're saying is,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a good dance partner with other people, but I'm a great dancer with myself. I can look at all the positives and say, certainly at work, it's the same application. I can say, I can certainly put myself in situations where I can say, okay, I can do this right. I can do it better if I just spend a little bit more time concentrating and doing it the right way. Versus if I just if I don't take time to do it, then it may not come out, you know, in terms of putting a report together or making sure I meet a deadline or finishing up something I need to finish up. But I certainly think I need to spend more time treating myself, dancing with myself, singing, you know, humming a song or something, so I can keep myself and concentrate so that I can be able to do what I need to do.
Definitely. And you hit the nail on the head when you talk about self-care, because as professions, we get so caught up in the work and the everyday routine of getting the job done. And that's why when a lot of people retire from the workforce, it's like they don't know what to do with themselves because they never had that balance between work and having fun. So at least when you retire, you can have more fun. You know, you're not just sitting at home and watching CNN all day, you know, you're going out and you're doing things, you know, you're enjoying life as a older person. So we have to check our life, check our belief systems. What are the things that we've thought up all our lives? Is it working for us? We have to, you know, try to think differently and try to think of new ways that we can self-care, take better care of ourselves. Things that we did as a child that we had fun doing, we can do them as adults. Even like, you know, charcoal, crayons, or just little things that, you know, you never thought about doing as an adult, because that's one thing that a lot of people are into, the stress management with, you know, coloring or, you know, doing all kinds of things like that. But we have to learn to change our life, the things that we learned in life, and are they working for us? We have to check our inventory with our belief systems. What can we do differently? How can we, you know, just add more fun to our lives? And I think one thing that has held people back is their fear. And what is fear? It's false evidence appearing real. A lot of times we think, oh, this is going to happen. I'm not going to do this deal, or I'm not going to do this contract because they're never going to approve me. Because I'll tell you one thing that I did, you know, as a psychologist, and I work as a therapist too with individuals. I was trying to get the bid to work with battered women with the county. And I spoke to someone about it. And he's like, oh yeah, you know, it's only for a certain select group of people. You can never make it in. But, you know, I pushed through and I went and did my submission. And now I'm one of those providers for individuals in the program, you know, for domestic violence, you know, so someone who needs counseling for that, you know, I'm one of the providers for the court. But it's so it is in business. A lot of times we, hold ourselves back, from doing something, but we have to just face whatever the fear is and just do it, however fearful we might feel. So kill stress by facing it and solving those tough problems rather than trying to avoid those things that we've been avoiding for years. Some people are in a profession that they don't even like for years, but they're just afraid of launching out, of doing something different. So making change happen. I'm currently teaching a life skills class. So I help people with their goals to be more specific, how to measure your goals to see where you are. So I go more into that regarding their goals. So this is something we have to make change happen. We have to set our goals, but like you said, it doesn't, you can always change because life changes. You can always change your goals, but it's always good to have something specific that we can work on. So making change is not about us, it's about our family or community, and it's about everyone living life differently, writing down, the ideas that we've been putting off for years. So what are some ideas that you've been putting off for years, DaVatrice, that you think you want to overcome or work on? Just one thing.
I want to create a foundation to assist the youth with protecting their talents, basically intellectual property, mainly for artists who write poetry, music, and things of that nature, because a lot of them don't know how to protect their work, and unfortunately they're taken advantage of.
Yeah. Wow, that is wonderful. That is good. I look forward to seeing that. Keep me posted, definitely.
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah, because the young people, they don't know a lot of things about how to, protect their information, their talents. So definitely. How about you, Mario? What is one thing that you've been holding off that you wanted to do?
I think I've always wanted the idea of having my own business, a commercial business, but I haven't really
launched out into the deep.
It's really certainly something I've thought about. I just never, I've always been in the education, the nonprofit world, but going into the retail or business sector would be completely foreign to me. So that makes it a little bit of a challenge, but a worthwhile process if I go into it.
Definitely. I think you'll be great at it. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Definitely. So the takeaway from this session is to just write down, some of your thoughts, some of the things that you want. What are your goals? Some, your vision, and just, write it down for today. And then maybe when you look back in the next year, you'll be doing, I'll be seeing more of the foundation. I'll be seeing more of the business that we've talked about today. All right, so this is my, I just wanted to instill, so self-love affirmations, knowing that we have the potential to do so much more than we, for ourselves. We hold ourselves back because of our fears, but we can do so much more. So don't be afraid, to do all the things that we want to do. So I thank you everyone for being a part of this webinar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Heidi, for that much needed presentation. We do have a couple of questions. The first one is, if your job doesn't fit your personality, do you recommend working on obtaining those skills or switching jobs?
Well, usually I'll say it's good to get the skills and then switch the job because I've noticed that even in the workforce, the jobs, it affects the emotions, but then it starts to affect the physical, because whatever happens like I noticed like a lot of people they start having blood pressure problems when and before they started a job they never had that, or they start eating differently, they develop. So especially when you know that a job is affecting your behavior to the point where you can't sleep or you can't function, you know it's time to change, to do something differently. And I always say start seeking out the avenues, you know, to transition into the next job that you want, because, you know, it's good to do what you love and enjoy, you know, it makes a difference than being in a work environment where you're working paycheck to paycheck, because so many people are doing it because they have bills to pay. They're afraid to make that change and be without an income. You know, that's one of the, you want to have something that you can sustain yourself. So always be on the lookout for that job that you really want. So, you know, it's good to get the skills, but start working on the job transition.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it.
The next question is, how do you recommend overcoming someone who you've been assertive with, who acts like the victim when they actually have hurt you?
Okay, so this is good on the part of the feedback, because yes, they'll say, well, you're the one that's always, you know, you're trying to be assertive, but then they say, oh, you're putting me down or you're making me feel uncomfortable. And that's where you try to be more encouraging to build up their self-esteem. But sometimes that person might be, you know, talking from a place of emotional brokenness. So it's good to, you know, find out more about what's going on here and how that other person can work on those things to know what would make it better for them to not feel like they're the victim, you know, to say that, you know, it's good to be encouraging and building that person up to no, you're not trying to put them down. You know, they're a wonderful person. They're smart, they're intelligent, but I'm just letting you know, this is how I feel. And, you know, you ask them, how do you feel about what I said? You know, I think it's just sometimes it's the way it's a presentation, because the intent is always good, but sometimes, like you said, the presentation, the way that you say certain things, people get offended. Yeah. So you always want to be encouraging.
Thank you. And the last question is, how do you suggest communicating with someone who you've talked to directly? So I believe that means assertively, but they always hear something different than what you specifically said.
Definitely. And that's why it's good to have that sounding board. So they're like, oh, but you keep saying that this and this and this, but you're like, no, I'm not saying. I have said that you're, you know, you try to encourage them, but you know, I said sometimes people speak from a place of brokenness, or they've had a bad experience with something. So they revert back to that experience. They're like, oh, everybody always talks to me that way, or my mom used to speak to me that way. And sometimes it might be a trigger for them. So you have to dig deep to get more information of why they're responding, you know, whether it be in that victim way or they're retaliating. So you always want to find out where they're coming from. Why do they feel like, you know, you're putting them down, you know, when you're not. So it's good to gather more information to see, you know, what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you once again for the presentation. It was much needed, vital information. Is there a way that someone can get in contact with you if they need to?
Definitely. I'll put my, but I have my website, lifeskills developmentsuccess.com on, but I'm also on Psychology Today. I'm on different platforms. They can Google life skills development, and you know, my information should come up definitely. Or they can, I can give you my information, my number, so you know, they can reach me definitely. But I'm on
Okay.
Psychology Today, Therapy Tribes. I'm on Christian counseling. So I'm on different platforms that they can reach me at. Also on some of the social media platforms, under life skills development, also on LinkedIn. Yeah, and I have a Google My Business, so life skills development also. Yeah.
All right. Thank you once again. That concludes the webinar. Thank you everyone for your time. Everyone stay safe and healthy.